Yo, what's up people? Today I am super happy because I have two knives on loan for sharpening that I always wanted to check out. And the knife that we have here is, some of you might already know it, the Spyderco Cricket. I always wanted to have a Spyderco Cricket, and I just never pulled the trigger on it because it's a little bit expensive, I think. But yeah, it's super nice that I can now check it out. And as you can see, both of these knives are quite a bit used. So I like to see that as well. I enjoy it when people enjoy their knives. It's just a good thing. Yeah, so the Spyderco Cricket has been around since the 90s, and it came after the successful Spyderco Civilian, which was the first Spyderco, I believe, that had the S-curve blade shape. Now, the S-curve blade shape is pretty interesting because it kind of is an opposite recurve. It has the belly in the back, and then it recurves, and then it goes down again in the tip. I'll show you a recurve in comparison. Focus camera. And we have, in a recurve, we have the recurve back here, and then it goes to the belly, and then it goes up towards the tip. So it's the complete opposite in the S-curve here. And what that really does is it gives you a really fine, aggressive point does extremely well at puncturing things and opening things, such as boxes. And the Cricket was really a counterpart to the Civilian, which is a huge tactical knife. I don't have a Civilian in my collection, but I do have a Spyderco, a Cold Steel Black Talon, which is Cold Steel's counterpart to the Civilian. And the Cricket was kind of made to be a more EDC friendly S-curve blade shape knife. Spyderco describes it as a small knife, a combination of a small size knife with serious cutting performance. And yes, it does. I cannot show you any in-use footage because this is not my knife, and both of these are not my knives, so can't really show you them in use. But I have seen and I was able to handle a Cricket before, and I can tell you so much that it has serious cutting performance for sure. Hollow ground blade. As you can see, most Spydercos that have the grind that low are hollow ground. Maybe we can tell that. No? Let's find something different where it's a little bit easier to make out. So hopefully, yeah, there you go. You can see the gap between the handle of the Swiss Army knife here and the blade. That's a hollow ground blade. Both of these are hollow ground. This version is no longer in production. The only difference is that this has the stainless steel handles with the lasered Cricket. You know, there's a Cricket on a Cricket. How crazy. And the other one is exactly the same, just that it doesn't have the laser markings. Both of these stainless steel handles. For some reason the pocket clip on this one is different. I believe though this is the original clip and this is a replacement clip. Yeah, that's as far as I understand, the only clip you get on a Cricket is this one to the left right here. And I always had in my mind, I always thought the Cricket was a liner lock knife, which is not too far off, but the liners are actually part of the frame, so it's technically a frame lock. But it feels like a liner lock because of the thinness of the liners. The whole knife is pretty thin. And yeah, like I said, in production since the 90s, 1994 to be exactly. It was out of production for a while, I don't remember how long. And then it came back, and I was happy that it came back because it's a cool little interesting design. In the past they had thicker handle scales, and some of them had G10 and some of them had F4N handle scales. I'll give you a measurement of the handle thickness, which is 4.97 millimeters. So super thin. That's the blade stock of some of the fixed blades we have. Oh, actually, let's just measure the blade stock, 1.9 millimeters in blade stock thickness. Well, I could give you a behind the edge measurement, but it doesn't really make sense because both of these knives have been resharpened more than once, as I can tell, from the edges, from the edge that has been on here. And right now this knife is behind the edge. It's like 0.437 millimeters. It's like 13 thousandths behind the edge. Because it's a hollow ground blade, it will get thinner over time, but it's not the thinnest behind the edge overall. Still, it doesn't need to be, because you know the blade alone does the cutting here more than the geometry in this case, which is kind of a rare thing. The blade length is, as you can see, 5 centimeters, and overall length is 12 centimeters. So that's 1.9 inches in the blade length and 4.7 inches overall. Here's the Spyderco Chaparral, which is also a small Spyderco. Spyderco is really good at the smaller knives. And then we have, where do we have it? Here it is, the Spyderco Para 3, which has been Gucci'd out a little bit. And then we have the Spyderco PM2. Yeah, and I give you another small knife as a comparison. This is a Victorinox knife that I really enjoy right now. It's the Pioneer X with the black A-lock scales. So it's the Pioneer with the scissors inside. Probably my most favorite Victorinox at the moment. I really enjoy this. It's not too expensive either. So yeah, the Cricket is a small little knife, and I've heard that Spyderco also intended it to be a money clip. So if you close it, you can put your bills under here and put the whole thing in your pocket. So yeah, pretty lightweight, even though it's stainless steel, even though it has stainless steel scales. 49 grams, which is 1.7 ounces, if I recall that correctly. Overall, there have been like 12 or 13 different versions of the Cricket. Like I said, G10 handle scales, F4N handle scales, all kinds of different stuff. Now, I show you one of the knives that I use for box opening, which is the Hogue Micro Switch, which has a Wharncliffe, kind of a Wharncliffe or sheepsfoot blade, however you may call that. And this does exactly the same thing than this. It's just much smaller, much lighter, and much easier to carry, which is kind of cool, because let's be honest, with this knife right here, even though it is bigger, you can't really do anything else than box cutting realistically. I mean, you can, but it's not really meant to do a whole lot more. And the Cricket in hand kind of feels small, and if you really press down on it, it would be very uncomfortable, because the scales are so thin and the corners are a little bit sharp. So wood cutting would be an ergonomic nightmare for sure, but it kind of doesn't have to be ergonomic, because this is a small little knife, and most of the time you're gonna use it just like this and open up a box, and it's gonna be very effective because of that tip right here. So yeah, the S-curve blade shape, super interesting. The whole knife is kind of a little bit ugly and cute at the same time, which a lot of smaller Spydercos are that way. Spydercos in general are kind of ugly, unless you have a lot of Spydercos, then it kind of looks normal to you. So yeah, like I said, this one is discontinued by now. I love that the user is still carrying it, even though it's a collectible at this point, and it would probably be worth a lot more than a normal Cricket. And yeah, VG10 steel on these. VG10 is more on the softer side from Spyderco, but because of the blade shape, it's not the easiest to resharpen still. I used the Spyderco Sharp Maker to get these guys sharp here. And do I have some paper here? Is the better question. I thought I had some paper here. I'm not sure. Let's use this one. And I show you how the blade shape works. The belly bites in, and then the tip ends that cut. And it's pretty, you can feel that the tip has a lot of cutting power, much more than other knives do, because it curves down again. So yeah, it's a pretty good cutting tool. And what do I wanted to say? Yeah, VG10, not too easy to resharpen. I used the Spyderco Sharp Maker to touch this up. And for some reason, this guy right here had a convex edge. Not sure if you can see this. Sorry for the focus, guys. This guy had a convex edge, and then the other one had a flat edge. And the convex edge felt a little bit sharper. Convex edges tend to do that occasionally if they're done correctly. And yeah, but originally they for sure would be flat edges. And yeah, VG10, I'm not sure if it's the best steel for this knife. I mean, it's kind of not the hardest to resharpen, and you kind of don't want this to be the hardest to resharpen because the shape itself gives you troubles already. And on the other hand, harder steel would hold an edge a little bit longer, and you wouldn't have to resharpen it as often. But it would be a nightmare to resharpen this blade with, let's say, M390, K390, something like that would be really difficult to resharpen. So I think it's fine. VG10, I never disliked VG10 from Spyderco. Like I said, it's on the softer side, but still good stuff. I show you another knife that is kind of a collectible Spyderco that's in my collection, and that I kind of never use and store away because, like I said, it's collectible. And this one is the Spyderco Chinese Lam, which is the mid-size Chinese Lam. There is a smaller version and a larger version as well. And yeah, like with this one that is no longer in production, you could go ahead and say, okay, I'm not gonna use it because this is gonna be worth a lot of money at some point, or it actually might already be worth a lot of money to some collectors, even though it's exactly the same thing, just with an etching. But yeah, what kind of joy do you get from knives that you just collect and they sit in a box and you're not using them? So yeah, maybe I should use my Chinese Lam as well, because it's a really great knife. And just because it's no longer in production doesn't mean you should store it away and not get any use out of it. That's kind of the point where I'm at in my knife collecting days. Is I have always been a knife user more than a collector, but I kind of look at the knives that I have been collecting and never using, and I think, like, why not use them? Like, what's the purpose of collecting really, other than you might get a little bit more out of it than you paid for it in the beginning? But yeah, look at this person. The person that owns this knife is really enjoying it, carrying it quite a bit. As far as I understand, it was a family gift, and yeah, it's scratched up, beat up. The person has been using this every single day, as far as I heard, since she got it. And yeah, why not? Why not use your knives? Because that's what they're meant for. Yeah, the Cricket. How do I think about the Cricket now that I had a more closer chance to check it out? Well, it's difficult to resharpen, not the easiest. But like I said, with the Shark Maker, it's gonna be fine. If you touch it up regularly and strop it up regularly. It's a little bit expensive. That's what always kept me back from buying a Cricket, because yeah, it's about 100 euros right now here in Europe. And I think 100 euros is, for a little bit more, you get a Dragonfly with K390 and, you know, all those other things that are on the market right now. So it's kind of a little bit expensive, but at the same time, like I said, if you have a smaller box opening type of knife, why not get it even smaller and even lighter and even easier to carry and even more effective for the size? So the Cricket has a lot of advantages on its side. And like I said, it's not gonna be a knife that you're gonna fiddle wood with or do anything else than opening boxes and packages and cutting tape and stuff like that. But that's what most people do in the first place most of the time with their knives. So yeah, I think it's a really cool knife. If I would ever have the chance to get this a little bit more inexpensive, I would 100% buy it now that I had the chance to check it out, because it's a super cool little tiny little knife. So yeah, that's it for this video, people. Hope you enjoyed it. Kind of a cool piece of Spyderco history at this point. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we will see each other maybe in another video. Goodbye, people.